Sometime later, on an autumn day during a short school break following the incident at Yasahachi Bridge, Kugisaki decided to go to Shibuya alone. Fushiguro was exhausted and holed up in his room to read, while Itadori had gone out to see an arty movie that only a film nerd would like. Maki was on a mission unrelated to the Yasahachi Bridge incident, so they wouldn't be seeing each other for a while. This left Kugisaki without any plans, so she went shopping for makeup, clothes, and personal items. Things she wouldn't want to shop for with the boys around. Winter tops and bottoms, winter shoes, underwear, foundation, she muttered to herself. With shopping bags dangling from both hands, Kugisaki examined her haul. She didn't think she'd purchased too much, but she had done more walking than she expected. Perhaps it had been a mistake to wear her new pin-heeled boots. She didn't get to go shopping alone that often, though, and there were still some things that she wanted to look for. As she walked through the boisterous crowd, she thought she might browse some handbags next. When she had first arrived in Tokyo, all the new sights were dazzling to her. 3 months later, she had grown accustomed to the lights, and the noise had even started to get on her nerves. But it was the product of unceasing human activity, and the constant snippets of conversation gave the city character. That was a masterpiece.
Salmon.
Don't you want to try some? It's delicious.
Salmon.
I'm so
Hey,
tired.
Mom, buy that for me.
Countless voices representing countless lives intermingled at that intersection. Each one was an individual, existing in their own individual world. Some people might have found the confusion of voices and needs to be depressing, but not Kugisaki. She had a strong sense of self. She welcomed the clamor of the city because it allowed everyone to live as they pleased. Actually, it was her home village that had been suffocating. There, conformity was encouraged. Its ecosystem survived by refusing to recognize individuals as individuals. To Kugisaki, it had felt like a closed-off world that was quietly rotting away. By contrast, the masses of people in the city meant that every person had their freedom. Someone once said that the city makes you lose interest in other people. Kugisaki smiled, thinking that was fine by her. No one here would criticize her for being who she was, and she could walk wherever her own 2 feet took her. The chaotic and multifaceted nature of the city was comfortable for her, yet fateful encounters occur even in the urban jungle. Kugisaki was walking toward Shibuya Hikari when she recognized a face amidst the crowd on the other side of the street. The person's collar was flipped up and closed tight, hiding the lower half of his face. It was Toge Inumaki. She was certain that she had never met the blue-eyed man with him, who looked as though he might be a foreign tourist. The unexpected sight of the two captured Kugisaki's interest. I wonder what they're talking about. Kugisaki changed her trajectory, crossed the street just as the signal changed and made for Inumaki. As she approached, she could overhear his conversation. I'd like to go to Shibuya 109, the man with blue eyes said. Salmon, Inumaki replied. Where can I get a taxi? Asked the man. Salted fish roe. Which way should we go? Kelp. Watashi ikitai ichimaru, Q? The man stammered in broken Japanese. Please, okay? Salmon, Toge responded. Salmon? The man repeated. Salmon. Salmon again? What the heck, man? Fish flakes. Ugh! The situation was even more of a disaster than Kugisaki could have imagined. Inumaki was a cursed speech user, so in order to avoid accidentally releasing curses, the only words he uttered were rice ball ingredients. This tourist had stopped him, of all people, to ask for directions. And Inumaki was trying to respond the best he could through a variety of gestures. Figuring the tourist was probably running out of patience, Kugisaki decided to intervene. What's up, senpai? Tuna mayo, Inumaki answered. Spare me the rice ball bit, okay? Ooh, geisha girl, said the tourist. Who you calling a geisha girl? Kugisaki demanded. From what she'd overheard, Kugisaki had an idea of where he wanted to go. She managed to direct him to the other side of the station with 4 simple English words. Left, right, straight, god damn it. Having finally received directions, the tourist stomped off, but not before expressing appreciation with an antiquated term, saying, Katajiken no gozaru. Inumaki's not the only weirdo around here, Kugisaki thought. Salmon, Inumaki said. Come on, you couldn't have written down directions or shown him a map on your phone? Kugisaki asked. Salted fish roe. Kugisaki had met Inumaki about 3 months ago, but she still couldn't understand rice ballese. Apparently, Fushiguro could. And Itadori had the ability to play along. Naturally, the second years could understand too. Inumaki had helped Kugisaki with her sparring, so he wasn't exactly a stranger, and during the plot to kill Itadori, of which no proof remained, Inumaki had been worried about Itadori, even though they had just met. But there were limits to how well she would be able to get to know him if all he could do was call out in rice ball ingredients. She knew that Maki respected Inumaki, and Panda, who had been Kugisaki's sparring partner, relied on him. They had both declared him a good guy. Nonetheless, Kugisaki had yet to really get a handle on her senpai Inumaki. The problem was compatibility. Kugisaki was a talker who tended to let her words spill out. She found it hard to deal with Inumaki, who only responded with rice ball ingredients. She didn't particularly want to be brusque with close acquaintances, but the straightforward way that relatives and close acquaintances speak to each other affirms a kind of trust that doesn't require formalities. She had difficulty with Inumaki's type of communication because she could never understand what he was getting at. That didn't mean that she disliked him, and she didn't want to be rough with him. As a result, she was taking extra care with her words, and that irritated her. Words were an expression of the soul, so she didn't want them to be distorted. She found this whole balancing act to be uncomfortable, excruciating, in fact. Whatever, she said. But next time someone annoying talks to you, just ignore it. Now I've got shopping to do. See ya. Mustard leaf, her senpai replied. Yeah, mustard leaf to you too. Kugisaki had no idea what that meant, but Inumaki had said it as they parted, so it seemed natural to say it back. As she took a step away, Inumaki grabbed her shoulder and stopped her. What do you need? She asked. Fish flakes. Sorry. That doesn't tell me much. Inumaki waved his hands and shook his head. Kugisaki got the sense that he didn't want her to keep shopping, but she couldn't figure out why that would be. Maybe he just wanted her to head back before it got dark. In any case, that was all she was picking up because fish flakes just didn't provide detail. She knew he was worried though, so she smiled. Don't worry, I won't stay out too late wandering around. Mustard leaf, he said. Uh-huh. Don't you stay out too late either, Kugisaki said, casting a vexed look at him before rejoining the crowd. Fish flakes! Inumaki reached out again, but his hand banged into an old lady who was passing by. Thankfully, he didn't hurt her, but as he was helping her cross the street, Kugisaki moved out of sight. Alright, y'all. That is section 2, chapter 1. Thorny wrote at dawn. I don't need to say the whole shebang every time, do I? That's just section 2 of chapter 1. I'll just do that. That's easier. I have decided that I'm going to go ahead and maybe use these chapter sections to point out why Nobara is coming back each time. Like, I'll choose one thing from the chapter that says why that's happening in my narrative pixel scaling world. And this chapter, first of all, let's go ahead and talk about how wild is it that she's having this whole internal monologue standing at the main intersection in Shibuya. Remember that place? Yeah, me neither. Anyway, and I begin quoting here. Countless voices representing countless lives intermingled in the intersection. Each one was an individual, existing in their own individual world. Some people might have found the confusion of voices and needs to be depressing, but not Kugisaki. She had a strong sense of self. She welcomed the clamor of the city because it allowed everyone to live as they pleased. To Kugisaki, her hometown had felt like a closed-off world that was quietly rotting away. By contrast, the masses of people in the city meant that every person had their freedom. End quote. So, obviously there's a lot of parallels going on here, right? I mean, a strong sense of self. Shoot, I even had visions of, like, the ultimate Kenjaku blob being something that resonance could affect as soon as she said, "Oh, I love the idea of a bunch of people all smashed together. That's my jam." Like, first of all, ew. Second of all, why aren't you a star plasma vessel? Third of all, help. I think that's perfect opportunity for resonance to show scientifically what resonance does. Resonance is how the solar system stays the solar system. Not just that, it's how the water goes down the drain in your bathtub. It's how you can hula hoop. It's how the radio turns on. It's even how, like, a watch works. All watches, down to atomic watches. We can talk about water clocks. We can talk... Uh-oh, I'm getting back to clocks. Okay. I'm going to try and stay out of spoiler territory because I know I'm wandering into deep waters right now. Deep water clocks. Anyway, see you in the next one.